Lisa in French was born on June 2, 1964, in Wisconsin. When she was a child, her parents divorced, and she moved with her mother to the small town of Fond du Lac. A few years afterward, her mother remarried, and Lisa became the older sister to a younger brother. By 1973, Lisa was 9 years old, an ordinary child attending her local elementary school, involved in the Girl Scouts, and spending much of her free time playing outdoors with her friends. That October, Lisa was filled with excitement for Halloween, or more specifically about gathering as much candy as possible from the neighbors. She had originally planned to dress up as a butterfly, but the late October weather grew cold, forcing her mother to improvise. She put together a last-minute costume using clothes from around the house, including an oversized black hat, and sent Lisa out to go trick-or-treating. Lisa had been planning to go out trick-or-treating with a friend, but that night her friend was grounded and had to stay home. So Lisa headed out by herself, though her mother cautioned her not to go too far from their house. The neighborhood was thought of as safe, and Lisa's parents knew everyone within several blocks. In addition, other kids and parents were outside that night, so her mother was not overly concerned. Lisa was also eager to attend a Halloween party organized by neighborhood parents. That year, news stories had stirred up fear across the nation about tampered candy, rumors of hidden razor blades, and even poison in treats. Because of these fears, the community decided to hold a controlled, safe gathering for the children. Lisa left home around 6 p.m., promising she would be back by 7. But when she failed to return, her mother began to grow worried. At first, she assumed Lisa had gotten carried away with trying to collect as much candy as she could. But when the clock struck 8 p.m., she decided to go searching herself. She walked through the nearby streets, but there was no trace of her daughter. Panic rising, she asked everyone she came across if they had seen Lisa. News of the disappearance spread quickly through the neighborhood, and soon several neighbors joined in the search, but no one managed to find any sign of her. Eventually, her mother decided to contact the police. Officers flooded the area, and before long, dozens of people were out searching, with the number increasing by the hour. Investigators discovered Lisa had only visited 2 homes that evening, one belonging to a classmate and another to a teacher. After that, she simply vanished. This only intensified the dread. Both houses were just minutes away from her own, meaning something could have happened almost right after she left. The search went on all night but revealed nothing. By morning, even more townspeople joined in, and the police widened the search to cover the entire city. Before long, national media began reporting the story. For many, Halloween was supposed to be joyful, a night of children laughing and collecting candy, just like Lisa. Her disappearance now felt like a shared nightmare, and thousands of people wanted answers. The second day of searching yielded nothing, but the police refused to give up. They produced thousands of flyers with Lisa's photograph, and volunteers posted them all over the town and beyond. Local gas stations even provided free fuel to search volunteers, whose numbers eventually grew to more than 5,000 people. They searched through every street, forest, field, and river where Lisa could possibly be. Volunteers on horseback and ATVs examined remote areas, but no one could locate her. Days passed until, on November 3rd, 3 days after Lisa went missing, a phone call came in. A farmer driving through the small town of Taikita, just 3 miles from Lisa's home, spotted 2 garbage bags along the roadside. Like everyone else, he had heard about the missing girl, so he decided to check the bags, just in case. What he discovered horrified him. One bag contained Lisa's body. The other contained her clothing. The farmer rushed to the nearest phone to contact the police. News of the discovery spread rapidly. By the time officers arrived, dozens of locals had gathered at the scene, all in shock over what had been found. Investigators confirmed the body was Lisa's and sent it to the medical examiner, who determined she had been sexually assaulted. At first, they believed the cause of death was strangulation, but later established that she had actually died from shock. In 1973, DNA testing did not yet exist, so detectives had to rely only on the physical evidence available. Forensic experts examined all of Lisa's clothing, collecting stray fibers that appeared out of place. They also discovered a single hair. However, there was not one fingerprint, either on her clothes, nor on her body, nor even on the trash bags used to dispose of her remains. News of the brutal killing not only shook their small town but spread across the country. People were outraged, demanding that police catch the killer immediately. Parents were terrified and feared for their children's safety. Lisa's funeral took place 3 days after her body was discovered. Thousands of people attended the service, so many that organizers had to arrange multiple lines just to allow everyone to say their goodbyes. Meanwhile, the police were doing everything possible to identify the killer. With no firm leads, they concentrated on retracing Lisa's steps from that night. 2 families told investigators that she had come to their homes for candy, and afterward she had simply vanished. That meant something must have happened almost right after she left the second home. From that point, investigators considered 2 scenarios. Either a stranger had spotted Lisa outside and lured her away, or she had knocked on another door for candy and someone inside had attacked her. The first idea did not seem likely. Lisa was not the type of child to go off with a stranger or climb into a random car, and none of the neighbors reported hearing screams or noticing anything unusual. That made the second theory appear far more plausible. Investigators went door to door, questioning everyone on the street. There were dozens of homes, but each resident claimed that Lisa had not stopped by. With no immediate leads, detectives began examining each household more closely to narrow down possible suspects. They eliminated houses where only women lived and also removed from consideration the homes Lisa had already passed before visiting her teacher and classmate. They also knew Lisa had only been visiting the homes of families she knew well. She was familiar with most of her neighbors, though she was not close with all of them. So the police asked her mother who else on that street Lisa might have felt comfortable visiting. She gave them several names, but one stood out. A little farther down the street lived a 24-year-old man named Gerald Turner. He lived with his girlfriend and their young daughter. There were several reasons Turner attracted the police's attention. First, Lisa knew him well. He and his family had previously lived in a duplex with Lisa's family right on the other side of the wall. Their families often interacted, and Lisa frequently went over to play with his daughter. She also spoke with Turner himself quite often. She would happily show him new things her parents had bought for her, and he always seemed eager to listen. The second reason related to his behavior when police questioned everyone in the neighborhood. He did not display any obvious signs of guilt, but something about his responses felt off. The detectives could not identify exactly why, but his answers just did not sit right with them. The third reason surfaced later. Investigators had built a clear timeline of when Lisa was attacked, just minutes after she left the last house, and during that exact time frame, Turner was alone at home. His girlfriend and daughter were at a Halloween party, which meant he had the perfect opportunity to commit the crime before they returned. With all of this information, Turner appeared to be the most likely suspect on that street, but proving his guilt was another matter. Police questioned him multiple times, and he consistently denied involvement. Eventually, they asked if he would take a polygraph test, and Turner agreed. During the test, the examiner marked some of his responses to key questions as inconclusive. Detectives tried to use this to pressure him into confessing, but he refused to admit anything. Later, they requested he take another test. This time, he outright refused. With no confession, investigators returned to the limited physical evidence they possessed. As mentioned earlier, forensic experts had found stray fibers on Lisa's body and clothing, along with a single human hair. After analyzing it, they concluded the hair most likely was not from someone's head but from the killer's body. So police obtained a warrant to search Turner's house and collect hair samples from him. In his bedroom, they immediately noticed the bedspread because it was the same color as the stray fibers discovered on Lisa's clothing. When forensic experts examined it more closely, they confirmed the fibers could have come from this blanket, but proving it conclusively was not possible. The hair sample was another frustrating piece of evidence. Its color matched, but without DNA testing, there was no way to prove a definitive match. Still, these results only increased their suspicions. Investigators kept pressing Turner, arriving at his house, bringing him in for questioning, but no matter how many times they confronted him, he remained firm. He insisted he had nothing to do with Lisa's murder. This continued for months, and for Lisa's family, it was unbearable torment. Not only had they suffered an unimaginable loss, but they also had to endure the agony of not knowing who had killed her. To make matters even harder, Lisa's mother was in the early stages of pregnancy when the murder occurred. She was grieving her daughter while also preparing for the arrival of another child. Since Turner continued to deny involvement, detectives turned to his girlfriend for a more detailed account of that night. She told them that she and her daughter had attended a Halloween party and returned home around 7:15 p.m. When she walked in, she saw Gerald lying on the couch in his bathrobe. Immediately, he told her he was not feeling well and just needed rest. While she sat in the living room, he kept getting up and going to the bedroom, lying down for a while, then coming back quickly. Each time he told her not to bother him and insisted he needed to rest. She thought it was unusual but assumed he truly was ill. A short while later, she and her daughter left again to visit her mother. This only deepened the police's suspicions about Turner, but they still lacked solid proof. That remained the case until August 8, 1974, when he was brought in for yet another interrogation. This time, 9 months after the murder, something changed. Turner suddenly chose to confess and finally told detectives what had happened that night. According to Turner, Lisa had indeed come to his house for candy, and he invited her inside. At that time, his girlfriend and daughter were still at the Halloween party. From the very beginning, he had one thought in mind: assaulting Lisa. So he led her to the bedroom and committed the crime. Afterwards, he realized Lisa was not showing any signs of life. He panicked, claiming he had not meant to kill her. Turner tried to revive her, but at that moment, he heard his girlfriend and daughter pulling up outside. Thinking quickly, he moved Lisa's body from the bed to the bathroom adjoining the bedroom. Then he went into the living room and lay down on the couch. When his girlfriend walked in, he immediately told her he was not feeling well and asked her not to disturb him. Turner then went back to the bedroom, hoping she would not follow him, but he could not remain still. He was terrified that at any moment she would go into the bathroom and discover what he had done. That was why he kept returning to the living room every few minutes. He knew that if his girlfriend used the bathroom, she would instantly see Lisa's body, and he was doing everything he could to prevent that. Shortly after, his girlfriend left again to visit her mother, and Turner began working out how to dispose of Lisa's body. He pulled socks over his hands to avoid leaving fingerprints, grabbed 2 garbage bags, and placed Lisa's body along with her belongings inside. He then carried everything to his car and drove to a nearby town. There, he left the bags by the roadside and went back home. By the time Lisa's family and neighbors began searching for her, Turner had already hidden his crime. Turner's confession shocked not only Lisa's family and the town but also the investigators themselves. For 9 months, they had been unable to charge him because the circumstantial evidence was not enough. But then, suddenly, he decided to confess in graphic detail. Most importantly, he provided information no innocent person could have known. Following his confession, Turner was arrested, and the prosecution began preparing for trial. It commenced only a few months later, but the prosecutor encountered an unexpected obstacle. Just before the trial began, Turner retracted his confession. He claimed the police had written it themselves and that he had only signed it because he was exhausted from their constant pressure and harassment. Even so, there was little doubt about his guilt. His ex-girlfriend, who had not known what had happened at the time, apparently believed he was responsible and testified against him in court. The prosecution also highlighted the fibers found on Lisa's clothing. They matched the bedspread in Turner's bedroom, the very place where he had taken Lisa. But the strongest piece of evidence remained his confession. It contained far too many specific details to have been fabricated. In the end, Turner was found guilty and sentenced to 38.5 years in prison. Yet his story did not end there. Despite the horrific crime, Turner was released early for good behavior. He walked free in 1992 after serving only 17 years. However, he was not immediately returned to society. Instead, he was placed in a halfway house, a transitional facility where former inmates live under close supervision as they adjust to life outside prison. These homes are designed to assist with reintegration, providing structure, support, and strict rules to minimize the risk of reoffending. Still, Turner's release caused enormous outrage. Lisa's family was devastated, and residents of Milwaukee, where Turner was sent, were furious. The thought of such a dangerous criminal living in their community was unacceptable, and residents demanded authorities remove him immediately. Soon, city and state officials joined the public protests. While they did not have the authority to forcibly evict Turner, they pressured the corrections system to overturn the decision and expel him from Milwaukee. A year after Turner's release, the corrections system finally chose to send him back to prison. Their investigation revealed the parole board had made an error. Turner had never been eligible for early release in the first place. Around the same time, state officials began working on a new law to prevent dangerous offenders like Turner from ever being released again. The law proposed that individuals convicted of sexual assaults who posed a high risk of reoffending would not be returned to society after completing their prison sentences. Instead, they would be transferred to secure medical facilities and held there until doctors determined they were no longer a danger to others. This law, named after Turner himself, passed in 1994. Authorities hoped it would prevent any future attempts by Turner to gain his freedom. But only a few years later, another setback arose. In 1998, Turner once again applied for early release. To everyone's disbelief, the parole board declined to classify him as a dangerous sexual offender, even despite damaging testimony at the hearing from Turner's ex-wife and several former girlfriends. Each of them shared similar accounts, saying Turner had repeatedly abused them when they rejected his advances. Yet even with these overwhelming statements, the board was not convinced. Ultimately, Turner did not fall under his own law and was released again. He returned to a halfway house, and a few months later, he nearly attacked a parole officer with a knife during a routine check. But even after that, Turner was still allowed to remain free. The following year, Turner filed a lawsuit against a waste management company that had refused to employ him. At the time, he was living in Wisconsin, where laws prohibited employers from denying someone a job solely based on their criminal record. Shockingly, the court ruled in Turner's favor, and he was awarded an undisclosed sum from the company. This continued until 2003. Turner was still residing in a halfway house, with law enforcement conducting regular checks on him. During one of these visits, officers discovered a large collection of disturbing adult photographs and videos on Turner's computer. They also learned he had been watching 3 films about serial killers. Under the terms of his parole, Turner was strictly forbidden from possessing or viewing such materials. As a result, he was arrested immediately, and the judge sentenced him to 15 more years in prison. Lisa's family believed this would finally be the end, that Turner would remain incarcerated for the rest of his life. But once again, they faced another cruel twist. The parole board refused to extend his sentence, and Turner was scheduled to be released in 2018. Lisa's mother could not accept the idea of Turner being freed again. She started a petition to keep him behind bars. The petition quickly gathered thousands of signatures and drew nationwide attention from people who did not want such a dangerous man back in society. Local and state officials also supported the movement, and together they worked to overturn the decision regarding his release. This time, they again invoked the law named after Turner, arguing that he should be transferred to a secure psychiatric facility instead of being set free. Naturally, Turner fought back, hiring lawyers to contest the decision, and the legal battle stretched on for years. Finally, in 2022, a judge made the final decision. Turner did fall under the law carrying his name. The court ruled that he posed a threat to others, and instead of being freed, he was committed to a secure psychiatric institution. Yet even after this ruling, Turner's lawyers filed an appeal and are still fighting to overturn the decision. At present, Turner is 75 years old and remains in a psychiatric facility. But despite his age, Opponents of his release firmly insist he is still dangerous and argue he must never be allowed back into society under any circumstances. It is also worth noting that while Turner has never directly admitted guilt, he has made several indirect but telling confessions throughout the years. During his initial trial, just before sentencing, he walked past Lisa's mother and quietly said, "I didn't mean to do it." At one point in prison, Turner even wrote a letter addressed to Lisa herself, apologizing and admitting that he had killed her. There was another instance when he accidentally revealed his guilt. Turner once remarked that if he had not committed the crime on Halloween, it would not have drawn so much attention from the public and the media, and no one would have cared. Because of all this, Lisa's family knows their fight is not over. They will continue battling to ensure Turner never walks free again, and given his history, this most recent attempt at release likely will not be his last. If you found this case intriguing, make sure to like and subscribe. We upload new crime case videos every night. Stay tuned, and brace yourself for what's coming next.